Audi RS3 versus BMW M2. One of the biggest car rivalries currently. One, a pocket rocket with an iconic sounding engine. The 2.5-liter turbo 5-cylinder with a 1-2-4-5-3 firing order, producing a distinct sound like no other. The other, a potent twin-turbo straight-six with a demanding driving experience that requires one to be on their A game. In today's video, we're going to put them head to head, break down the specs, pricing, hear how they sound, compare the driving experiences, and in the end, I'll tell you which one is better overall. Now, as always, grab your drink, food, or snacks, and let's get right into it. So what is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a brand new video. So today, I literally have a massive comparison video for you all. As you can see behind me, we have the new BMW M2 LCI and the RS3 facelift. These are literally one of the biggest rivals on the market right now. And let's see, are you team RS3 or team M2? And let's see how both cars compare to each other, how they drive, how they sound, pricing, all that stuff packed in one video. I really do hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's get right into it. Just a friendly reminder, we now have merch on the channel. We have the Emba OG collage t-shirt, and these are totally customizable. So on the back of the t-shirt, you can literally add a picture of your car on top of this already existing collage or any other car that you want on there. We also have the iconic cars t-shirt. Now, as an example here, we have the VW Golf 7.5R on the front, that is, and at the back we have the rear of the GTI and the R. But this one is also customizable. You can literally have any car that you'd like, the M2, the RS3, whatever. So I've left a WhatsApp number down in the description below. Do send in a text to place your order, and let's talk about what sort of design you want, and we'll make the magic happen. Okay, as usual, let's start off with the exterior. Now, the M2 is basically a compact performance coupe, and the RS3 is basically a compact performance sedan. Now, this is based more on a hatchback platform, and that, since it shares a chassis with the 3 Series and 4 Series, it's more based on, you could say, a compact sedan, something like that, but it is nonetheless a coupe, to say the least. Looks-wise, which one looks better? I don't know, you're gonna have to decide. But what I'll tell you, both cars certainly look very aggressive. The RS3 with its very wide diamond grille, but one gripe I have with the RS3 is them removing the RS3 badge on the front. Like with the M2, for example, you still get this little M2 badge right there. I mean, you should know from every angle of the car, you should know what car it is and so on. But I think the RS3 looks more clean, it's a more approachable look, whereas with the M2, they went for a completely different design compared to the previous generation, and I guess that's why most enthusiasts have issues with how these cars look, but I think most people are starting to like them. But if we get more in detail in terms of the looks, you have this single strip for the daytime running light on the M2. This one is the LCI, by the way. One quick giveaway is the silver surround around the badges, both the front badge and the rear one. But otherwise, it doesn't look too dissimilar from its pre-facelift counterpart. You have all these openings down here because this car needs as much cooling as possible. And my fear is there is no mesh grille. So if you get a big stone that hits the radiator there, it could be a big problem. But on the RS3 side, at least it's a bit protected right here, but you still have large openings because this engine also needs a lot of cooling. But I would say both cars look really good. In terms of side profile, RS3 on the front, funny enough, has wider tires than it has on the rear. 19-inch rims, 265mm wide tires, and in terms of brakes, cross-drilled and ventilated 6-piston calipers, red calipers with RS badging right there. So this rim is taken straight from the pre-facelift RS3 Performance, which I don't think we got in SA. There's like 400 in the world or something like that. One thing I love about the RS3 is this air vent right here on the side. Also makes the car look a lot wider and stuff. If we come around more to the rear with this new RS3, it has a new style diffuser,
The tailpipes sort of look like they stick out a bit more. The diffuser as well looks like it sticks out a bit more. And yeah, looks very aggressive with this Formula One style fog light. That looks absolutely cool. The new font and RS3 badge. And yeah, the rear looks just as good on the RS3. In terms of the M2, I mean, yeah, one thing that sticks out here is just these quad tail pipes. I mean, they are massive. I'm just scared they're a bit hot, but I can almost put my fist in there. There is also some kind of diffuser going on, but the M2 looks very aggressive. I mean, look at those arches at the rear. Something about BMW M cars and being wide. They just look so aggressively wide. The thing I said about the silver rim around the badge, that's how you know it's an LCI. And side profile on the M2, I mean, those rear arches just stick out, and you have very aggressive side skirts as well. So yeah, pretty good looking. I'm more of a coupe person than I am like a sedan person, so I'm kind of leaning more towards the M2, but it's a tricky one with these cars. You never really know where you're gonna spend your money. But looks wise, both cars look very aggressive. I think the RS3 is more approachable in terms of its looks because they didn't really change much or change things that upset enthusiasts. With the M2, you might need to get used to the looks a bit. Now let's check out the interior on both cars, and I think we'll start with the M2. Okay, so first up you have M2 branded door seals, and this one is spec'd with the sport seats. You can further upgrade to the carbon seats, but I think this is a new trim with just the red bit, because I think with the pre-LCI you could get like the M colors on the seats and stuff, but there is a little M2 badge right there on the headrest. I believe it also glows in the dark. Because this car is still based on the 3 Series and 4 Series platform, it's actually really big and spacious inside. You feel like there is a lot of room between the driver and the passenger seat, which is a good thing because you want the car to still be practical. So one of the updates in here is you've got this new style integrated screen for the infotainment and for the instrument cluster. That is, there's also this new steering wheel, and I'm really a big fan of the steering wheel. So I'm just gonna put the car on now. So this is a new steering wheel. They've redesigned the spoke and it has these cool holes on the side. And as you can see, this car has carbon galore. The whole steering wheel, the shift pedals, the dashboard is trimmed in carbon, the center console, really nice, something that you really want in a performance car. So in terms of the instrument cluster, it's cool, it's futuristic. You can have like the map in between, but to approach at first glance, it can be a bit intimidating because you're like, how do I cycle through stuff? But this is literally a menu button, and then you can cycle through the different content and stuff. It literally says content down there, and you can choose what you want to have displayed. One gripe I have with BMW instrument clusters in general, the new ones, I don't like the fact that they don't give you the option of an old school traditional looking gauge, like where you have like a ref counter and a speedo which are circular shaped, something that ties in with older models, because with digital displays you can do whatever you want, so you can change to different views and stuff. So they can do the futuristic stuff but also give us a more old school looking instrument cluster. In terms of the infotainment screen, I mean, this too, at first glance to approach, it's a bit intimidating because you're like, what does what do and what not? But what I like is the icons are really big. So right here you have the home button, and this literally is the home menu, and you can just slide across and see the different tabs and stuff. Like you see here, you have telephone, and here you can check your tire pressures and stuff, and you can literally just go back. Here you have your engine temperature stuff. And then here is basically your vehicle settings. I like the fact that the M2 model in the screen is in the exact same spec that you have your car in. So literally frozen Brooklyn gray. So yeah, I think this color is Brooklyn gray, but it's the frozen one though, so the matte one. And this is totally animated. So if I open the driver door, you'll see on the screen it opens the driver door. And then the other thing that you can do is if you put on your hazards, they also come on the little model there. That is absolutely cool. So yeah, this is basically your vehicle settings menu. And then there's also this apps icon, and here you have the different apps of the car. You have Spotify, that weather app, navigation, all that sort of jizz. To be able to get the full grasp of this infotainment screen, you need to live with the car and be able to run through everything. But this being an M car, there's stuff like the M drift analyzer, and it can basically analyze your drifting and give you a score. How many stars? 3, 4, 5, up to 5 stars. So you can practice your drifting, see how good you are, or how good you can get, rather, using the M drift analyzer. Down here you have all your vehicle driving mode buttons. There's one labeled mode. When you press it, you have the road, sport and track as your options. When you put the car in track, it literally turns off the infotainment screen so you don't get distracted. That is also cool. Also changes the look or the view on the instrument cluster, but I'll go back to road. So there's also the setup button. So this is where you set up your individual mode. So you can select how you want the engine to be, the chassis, the steering wheel, the braking. You can choose between efficient, sport, sport plus for most of them. Steering wheel and brake is just comfort and sport. And then you can save whatever setting you have here as a preset. So you have the configuration of the M1 and M2 button. So once you've set it up, you can save it as M1, for example, and as soon as you click M1 on the steering wheel, it pops up that configuration you have there. And then you can save M2 as a more comfortable mode. I guess when you click M2, the car is set up in a more comfortable manner. So things like the climate control are inbuilt into the screen. So down here you have shortcut keys for the climate controls, and here you can open them up fully, and then you can get to control the fan speed and whatever. That's basically the infotainment screen stuff. In terms of trimmings, I mean, BMW makes some of the best quality interiors. Like, everything feels very nice and solid, premium materials everywhere. I can't fault any of that. You can't get a sunroof in here because they come standard with a carbon roof. So that's that. You also have things like M-colored seat belts, which look absolutely cool. I can go on and on and on, but let's give the RS3 a shot. So RS3, like in the M2, you have RS3 badged door seals. This one comes as standard in these seats, and I think they look cool. They're quilted in the center. When you go for the RS style package, you can get these extra red trimmings all over, like on the air vents. The steering wheel comes in Alcantara. I think you can choose between red and green. So in terms of the design and stuff, you have this new style Audi steering wheel, which I'm not really a fan of, particularly the airbag cover, this 2D style badge. I feel like it doesn't really look good, but I quite like the Alcantara. The steering wheel is also square shaped. You have this little RS badge right there. You have these 2 driving mode shortcut keys. This one takes you straight into the RS performance mode, and then the RS button one takes you into the individual mode. So literally on the screen it says the RS individual and RS performance. The instrument cluster, I mean, we've reviewed this car before, so I'm not really going to dwell too much into it. You can cycle through different views. You have this one, you have that one, and yeah, you get the idea basically. There's a third view that you get with RS performance. So if you put the car in performance mode, you get that view with a more different looking ref counter and stuff. But yeah, the instrument cluster is nice and beautiful. I like the fact that you get more traditional looking gauges integrated with the more futuristic stuff. So infotainment screen doesn't look quite as advanced as the one in the BMW. It's more traditional and stuff. The background menus are a bit too dark and stuff, and I don't even know if you can open like a performance menu on this. It should be available where you can see like your power figures and stuff. It should be available here, but running through all of that might take some time. You do have some bare carbon fiber trimming here, that red detailing that we spoke about you get with the RS styling package. Quality overall is good, but I don't think it's as good as in the M2. You have things like glossy black here, whereas in the M2 it's all carbon fiber. So the M2 in terms of interior does feel a level above, just a bit, not entirely, but just a bit. What I do like is the RS style seat belts. These look cool with the red striping. And yeah, that is the interior in the RS3. Okay, now here's the most interesting bit with the comparison. So we'll start with the M2. So it's powered by the 58 motor, 3-liter turbo inline 6, making about 353 kilowatts. That's about 480 horsepower and 600 newton meters of torque. It's paired with a ZF 8-speed auto. It's rear-wheel drive, of course. Being a full-on M car, it also has a limited slip diff at the back. Now on the Audi front, you have the 2.5-liter turbo 5-cylinder, 294 kilowatts. That is roughly 400 horsepower and 500 newton meters of torque. So it's paired with a 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch transmission, and it's also got the clever multi-plate clutch diff at the back where you get drift mode and stuff, but it's still based on a front-wheel drive platform. It is quattro all-wheel drive, but it's a Haldex system after all. And yeah, that is the performance figures from both cars.
In terms of the pricing, the Audi RS3 comes in at 1,528,200 rand. For the sedan, that is. I tried to replicate the spec of this car and it came up to 1,619,900 rands. The M2 starts from 1,562,000 rands. The spec of this car came up to 1,617,987 rands. 2,000 rands short of the RS3. And that's the thing. Although the M2 has a higher starting price, literally everything is standard unless you want a special color like this frozen pure grey metallic, which is 35,000 rands. But everything else is free. Driver aids, safety systems, carbon fiber interior, you name it all. So spec for spec, the M2 is actually less expensive and offers better value for money.
So first up, BMW M2. I'm not really going to talk about how it drives and comfort mode and all of that because we have limited time and stuff. So I'm going to tell you the M2 bits basically. And right off the bat, yeah man, it feels so aggressive in the Sport Plus mode, and when you have the gearbox ferocity on the third mode, which is the basically gives you the fastest shifts and also most aggressive shifts. It literally jolts the whole car basically, and that's what you want. You want the car to feel more mechanical, engaging and fast. So something that we've been talking about a lot with the owners of both cars is the M2 is literally in a different league when you compare it to the RS3 or even the A45S. I think people just compare them because they sit within a similar price bracket. So now we're about to hop onto a bit of a main road and just experience the performance a bit more. So let's see. Jeez, man. flying all over. Can I please put my keys here? I mean, it is so hard to even fathom the capability of this car. Literally so insane. Every bit about the car feels so precise. The way it delivers its power, the steering wheel, even though from a lot of reviews, okay, I'll say it, the weight does feel a bit artificial, the weight of the steering wheel, that is, but everything else is just, jeez, man. And that's not even full throttle. Literally not even full throttle. So it's safe to say, like, capability wise, this car is just in a different league, like I already mentioned. The engine has so much power and torque, and even the sound, it sounds good. Like on video it might sound a bit meh, but it's actually pretty loud. Even when we did the revs and stuff, some of the sound inside here is pumped in through the speakers, but it sounds accurate to what you hear on the outside. Jeez. Yeah, man. Oh my goodness. There's just something about BMW and the way they set up their cars, the way they drive. They all complement each other. They have that sort of like a crazy but sharp driving experience at the same time. Jeez, man. The gear changes are literally so aggressive. Really, really aggressive. And yeah, final conclusion in terms of the driving experience on the M2, it feels very sharp. You don't even feel the weight of the car. The car weighs around 1.7 tons, by the way, and the whole car just feels shrinked around your body. Performance is out of this world. The M2 provides better value for money. The performance that we spoke about, and it still is a practical car. Yeah, it's a coupe. Getting in the back is more difficult compared to the RS3 and stuff, but if you can live with the 2 doors, which I think might be the main trade-off for some people, especially someone who's looking for something practical, but other than that, if you can look past that, literally no competition. Literally is no competition. So let's experience the RS3 and I'll share my thoughts on that. So we are now inside the Audi RS3, but since we've reviewed this car before, I'm not really going to spend too much time on it. But right off the bat, I'll say it feels more compact. Compared to the M2, of course. It feels lighter as well, because it actually is. I think this weighs around 1,580 kilograms, something like that. In terms of power and performance, still here an abundant amount, but compared to the M2, it's, yeah, you really can't compare them. The M2 is just in a different league. What I will say though is the character of this engine is just unmatched. The tone of it, oh man, that 5-cylinder growl is just out of this world. It really sounds so good. Although I have to say, because of all the regulations and stuff, the cars are really muted. So if you're gonna get one of these, if you can, consider modifying the exhaust just to get a bit more out of it. But yeah, man, this thing also goes. It is so capable. And the main difference, of course, is the all-wheel drive system in the RS3. Launch-wise, it's much quicker off the line, 3.8 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour compared to the M2's 4 seconds. And yeah, like I said, all thanks to that all-wheel drive system. And the other thing I'll say is driving on like a tight mountain pass, I think most people will be more capable in the RS3 than the M2, and it goes back to the all-wheel drive system. again, because you'll feel more secure in this car. You can lean into the power more. You can go onto the throttle earlier, whereas with the M2, if you cock it up a bit, the tail end might come out a bit and you might need to catch it and stuff. Whereas with this, it will be a lot more stable at all times. And that's pretty much how they compare in terms of the driving dynamics. The main thing is the RS3 is all-wheel drive, the BMW M2 is rear-wheel drive. And you can have a bit more fun in the M2, slide it around and stuff, even though the RS3 has the drift mode. In the M2, it'll be a lot more natural since the car is rear-wheel drive.
In closing, the RS3 is certainly an amazing performing compact car. It'll truly go down in history as a legend and will be missed dearly if Audi discontinues this engine. But for this comparison, the BMW M2 comes out as the winner. The performance is unmatched, it offers better value for money by the time you've spec'd the two cars. And although the two doors may be inconvenient for some people, it still has loads of room inside and a bigger boot. And that is why, at the moment, I'll crown it as the king of compact performance cars.